Hello and welcome to the News at Ryder. I'm Patrick Farrar.
And I'm Rakia Henderson. And now for the top stories of the week.
Israeli Prime Minister Ehud Barak called for the formation of an emergency coalition government Thursday after Israel bombed targets in the West Bank and Gaza in retaliation for the deaths of at least 2 soldiers. Barak had said 3 soldiers had been killed, but the Israeli Defense Forces had only recovered 2 bodies. In a news conference after a day of cabinet meetings, Barak accused Palestinian leader Yasser Arafat of abandoning peace efforts and warned that a further Israeli clampdown on Palestinian territory could be coming.
Palestinian Cabinet Minister Fazl Husseini expressed regret for the killing of 2 Israeli soldiers by a Palestinian mob, but he said Israelis were responsible for the past killing 15 days of violence, which has killed nearly 100 people, most of them Palestinian or Israeli Arabs. Israeli helicopter gunships fired on Palestinian broadcasting facilities in the West Bank and Palestinian Authority offices in Gaza. But Barak denied reports that Israeli forces had targeted offices used by Arafat in Gaza.
6 U.S. sailors are dead, 36 are injured, and 11 are missing after 2 terrorists on a suicide mission attacked a U.S. Navy destroyer on Thursday in the Middle Eastern port city of Aden. The explosion tore a hole inside of the USS Cole during a refueling stop at a facility in Aden, Yemen. The U.S. officials have claimed it was the result of a well-planned terrorist attack and said the incident may be linked to the alleged terrorist Osama bin Laden's organization. The explosion occurred when a small boat assisting in the refueling of the USS Cole pulled alongside the destroyer, which was carrying about 350 crew members.
With the world focused on events in Yemen and the Gaza Strip, Vice President Al Gore and Texas Governor George W. Bush made low-key returns to the presidential campaign trial on Thursday. This just hours after a second debate that instant polls suggested was a draw. Both men also called on Palestinian leader Yasser Arafat to renew peace talks and quell the violence that has carried Israel and Palestine to the brink of war.
George W. Bush recently visited Neshaminy High School in Langhorne, Pennsylvania. The presidential nominee discussed such topics as Social Security, Medicare, and student loans to an excited crowd of Pennsylvanians. Pennsylvania is a key swing state, so George W. Bush will be campaigning heavily there.
John Andrews, husband of Teresa Andrews, is raising his son Oscar alone. Last week, we reported that the 23-year-old Ravenna, Ohio woman, pregnant with her first child, was kidnapped and killed on September 27th. Police say another woman, Michelle Bickup, pretended to be pregnant, cut the child from Andrews' room, and passed the child off as her own. When police closed in on Bickup, she killed herself. John Andrews met his son Oscar, who miraculously survived the ordeal last week in an Ohio hospital. The boy is in guarded condition.
South Korean President Kim Dae-jung won the first Nobel Peace Prize for the 21st century. The man, sometimes called the Nelson Mandela of Asia, was chosen from a record 150 nominees, including the UN Secretary General Kofi Annan and Yugoslav peace mediators.
A new law prohibiting underage children from playing violent and sexually provocative video arcade games will now be enforced after an Indiana federal court lifted a temporary injunction preventing the ordinance from going into effect. The law was originally scheduled to go into effect on September 1st, but the city of Indianapolis agreed to a voluntary temporary injunction until legal challenges to the ordinance were resolved. But in a ruling Wednesday, U.S. District Judge David Hamilton lifted the injunction and ruled the law could go into effect. Judge Hamilton rejected the video games industry argument that the law passed by the Indianapolis City Council in July is too broad and infringes on its constitutional right to free expression.
In Columbus, Ohio, Gina Bell was assaulted by a man with a video camera while waiting in line for a carnival ride at a church festival. The man was caught by Bell looking under her dress and taping her while she was bending over to put her baby back in her stroller. On Tuesday, the Ohio law increased the penalties for secretly taking pictures up a woman's skirt or down her shirt. This will now be called upskirting and downblousing. The new Ohio law increases penalties to 6 months in jail and a $1,000 fine. When we return, we'll have some follow-up information on the highly successful Habitat for Humanity Day that took place here on Ryder's campus.
And Ryder observes Alcohol Awareness Day with a unique campaign.
Right, well, just tell Susan to run those over here, okay? Thank you. Hey, what's the matter with you?
I was up all night last night working on this presentation for the CEO. I don't think I'm going to get that job promotion I wanted. And to top it all off, I heard we're not getting Christmas bonuses. Could really use a pick-me-up.
Water! Woo!
You are now free to move about the country.
Rider University raised a total of $13,216 for its first ever Habitat Humanity project, which culminated last month in the construction of the frame of a new home for local Trenton resident Sandra Booth Shabazz and her 10-year-old daughter. To aid the worthy cause, an additional $7,000 donation came in the form of lumber from Home Depot. More than 300 Rider students and local professional carpenters toiled together, completing a day's work of 6 hours ahead of schedule. The general framework of the house was built in sections, loaded on a flatbed truck, and transported to Trenton. The house is scheduled to be erected on North Clinton Avenue in Trenton, New Jersey.
Make sobering up yours. A takeoff of the popular 7-Up commercial will be the theme of Rider University's campus-wide observance of Alcohol Awareness Week, Monday, October 16th through Friday, October 20th. Throughout the week, educational materials about alcohol consumption and I Represent One buttons will, in memory of one person who died in a crash caused by a drunken driver, will be distributed on campus. For more information and a complete schedule of Alcohol Awareness Week events, contact Valerie Kamen at 609-896-5060.
Monica Chicheska, a junior English major at Rider, and her partner Steve Holt recently won the U.S. National Championships to advance to the World Amateur Ballroom Dance Championships, which will be held the second week of December in Slovakia. While not looking past the World Championships, Chicheska and Holt have another goal in mind. As the United States top amateur ballroom dance couple, they have a realistic chance of representing the country in the 2004 Olympics, which will be held in Athens. Dance sport, which is what the International Olympic Committee calls competitive ballroom dancing, recently has been approved as an Olympic sport for the 2004 Summer Olympics.
Recently, 3 Rider employees were honored with the Elliott Award. News at Rider has the story.
Marge Rayner, Jan Freeman Krupnik, and Jonathan Millen have been selected as this year's Elliott Award winners. Although this is a prestigious award on the Rider campus, not many students know exactly what it is.
The Elliott Award is an award that Rider gives once a year to a faculty member, a staff member, and a member of the administration for distinguished service to the university.
In addition to the recognition, you get a plaque and you get a monetary gift also, which is always nice.
But the Elliott Award isn't so easy to come by.
My job has changed significantly since I first started at Rider, and I've gotten very involved in the information technology. I was involved in putting all the phones in. When I first came to Rider, students didn't have phones and cable TV, and was involved in that project for the infrastructure so that students could have voice, video, and cable in their residence halls.
It's really, after being here for 9 years, a number of activities that I've been involved in, from the university theme committee to running the student ice hockey team, to advising various organizations and being involved in various committees. It really has to do with service above and beyond what's expected of you.
When I first started, there was like a word processing center, but nobody had computers, or very few people had computers. So I've been taking classes through the years to kind of keep up to date with that technology.
Thanks to all of the staff for the hard work.
News at Rider reporter Stephanie Farina recently visited a group of students who take community service very seriously. Here's Stephanie with the story.
Hello, I'm Stephanie Farina, and I'm standing here in front of the Student Center Theater with a group of students representing various organizations such as LASSO, EOP, and Lambda Theta Alpha. Now, these students are making sandwiches, and they're preparing to go on a trip to New York City tonight, where they will hand out the sandwiches and some clothing that was donated to a group of homeless people that they will find throughout the streets.
Midnight Run is part of an overall community service effort that we're trying on campus now to increase our our involvement of Rider students in community service, moving out from the campus into the community to increase the whole understanding of civility.
15 students got involved in this mission for civility. They loaded up their bagged dinners and clothing and headed for Hell's Kitchen in New York City, where a route was planned for them to feed the homeless of the New York City streets.
It's a basic reality check, and it's a humbling experience just knowing what you have and what you're going to go home to and what these people are waiting to receive. They don't care what's in the bag. They just hope that it's, something that's going to fulfill them.
If you are interested in helping to fulfill the lives of the homeless, call the campus ministry or the Multicultural Center. Midnight Run will be scheduled monthly.
Reporting from the Student Center, I'm Stephanie Farina.
When we return, Rebecca Horn will have the sports, including a visit with Riders tennis coach Ed Torres.
I didn't think I had that much to drink. I thought I could drive. They didn't deserve this. Now I have to live with the hate from their families. Disappointment of my family. Worst of all, guilt for the rest of my life. If you think drunk driving only affects your life, think again. It affects everyone that's close to you. Don't drink and drive.
So, Rebecca, what's the update in the women's soccer team?
Well, the women's soccer team ended their two-game losing streak by defeating St. Peter's 4-2 on Wednesday. Freshman Colleen Evans scored her first two collegiate goals to give the Bronx a 2-0 lead. Senior Christy Doherty, who assisted on the first goal, scored to give the Lady Bronx a 3-0 lead. The men's soccer team led in their game on Tuesday before falling 4-1 against Lehigh. Freshman Tim O'Neill scored his team-high sixth goal of the season, assisted by junior Bob Francis. Lehigh, ranked third in the Mid-Atlantic region, came back to score the game's next four goals, three of them coming in a span of 9 minutes. The Bronx then defeated conference rival Marist 2-0 on Friday. Sophomore Phil Bedrin had a goal and an assist. Both the men and the women's tennis team swung their rackets with force when they defeated Canisius in a Metro Atlantic Athletic Conference match. The women upped their record to 500 with a 6-3 win, and the men won 4-3 to make their overall record 2-6. I took a closer look at the women's tennis team earlier this week and found that they were working hard on the courts.
The Rider University tennis courts aren't empty this fall. The women's tennis team is working hard and finding their strength coming from new members at the bottom part of their lineup.
We have a lot more depth than last year. We have like 8 new freshmen, so our bottom is much more depth. They're a lot better hitters than we had from last year. We did lose Stephanie Buss, who was the all-time leading scorer, but we made up with having 4 new freshmen.
With many of the more difficult teams out there, head coach Ed Torres explains how this team goes into every match with the same attitude.
When we play a more difficult team, all I do, the practices don't change. I just tell them that they have to concentrate a little bit more and they have to just give it more effort. We don't do anything differently for a difficult team or for a team that we should beat.
With this season continuing into the spring, the women are gearing up for the competition.
We're looking for the MAC tournament in the spring, so hopefully we want to be big contenders there. We're looking to place in the top 5, hopefully, but we'll see.
Let's hope this team can serve up a win.
So you guys better go out and watch a few of these matches this season.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Well, that's all the time that we have here, but tune in next week for News at Rider.